Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacob Buckner. I live in Central Oregon, and I've got three boys. And my wife and I chose this area about 3 or 4 years ago. I grew up in Southern Oregon, and then I left right out of high school, went into the Marine Corps, and for the last 20 years was basically working out of major cities. I work in the high-tech industry, and so most of those jobs would pull me into areas like the Bay Area in California. And then I would travel around the world to a lot of different countries. I've worked in Dallas, East Coast, all over the place. And one of the really common things that I'm starting to see right now, and the reason that I chose my topic, I've experienced it, my parents have experienced it, my mother-in-law is experiencing it, is affordable housing and the challenge that can be for a lot of people these days. Affordable housing doesn't just impact people that want to have a mortgage, it also impacts people that can't afford for a down payment for a mortgage, and so they get stuck in a rental. Many people probably enjoy having a rental, and that's fine, but a lot of people get trapped, and then they find that their rent increases year after year. There are some legislation that tries to prevent that. It basically limits landlords from being able to increase the rent too much. But most places you will typically see the rent increase. So this is a topic that was kind of close to me. We've bought and sold 3 homes in different states and different towns, large cities, and then now where we're in a smaller, more rural area. But we're seeing the main city, which is a population of about 100,000 people. It's starting to grow. The median home value has increased. They're using terms like skyrocketing. But there's many articles that have been written about this, and it seems to be impacting a lot of people. So, affordable housing. Most of you who have had to look for housing probably can relate to having an idea of what you would like to be able to get versus what your budget is. And right now, what's going on in Central Oregon is we're a Zoom city. So COVID hasn't been helping, but even before COVID, there are a lot of people that come here on vacation. They fall in love with the area, and then they decide that they want to live here. And now that a lot of people can remote, for work, they can live wherever they want. And so they're finding, why would I live in an area where I have to spend, close to $1 million for a typical home, like the Bay Area or California, when I can just move somewhere else and buy a house for much less. So people are selling their houses in the Bay Area right now, and then they're coming out here with cash offers, and you can't even compete. I'm a veteran, so I get something called the VA home loan, and that basically means that when I buy a house, I don't have to put down a down payment. The VA, they have a little bit more of a strenuous process to qualify for the mortgage and to get the mortgage, but once you qualify, you don't have to put a percentage down on the mortgage. So even with that, when we were looking for homes, a house would go up on the market, and within 4 days, somebody would come in with a cash offer above the asking price, and the home would be gone. So we're actually pretty fortunate. My wife works in the mortgage industry. Like I say, I've been with the company. I work for a large medical company. I've been with them for close to 16 years now. So we live comfortably. I mean, we make a good living, but we're finding it's even becoming more difficult for us. We have been in the house that we've been at for the last 3 years. We bought it originally, and gosh, 2-3 years later, it's already gone up almost $150,000, which is great. But that means everything else has gone up as well. So there's less and less affordable housing in this area. One of the articles that I saw from a local newspaper here in Bend, I believe it was The Source, it actually mentioned that nearly 73% of the people that live in this area cannot afford the median home price based off of what their income is. So that's a problem. If you can't have the people that live here that don't make a ton of money, if they can't afford a home and then they can't afford a rent, where are they going to live? And the answer is that they're not going to be able to afford to live here. They get pushed out to smaller towns, smaller cities, kind of in the surrounding areas, and then that drives those markets, the prices up for those homes as well. So, like I said, it's impacted me. It's impacted my parents. They downsized and they decided they were going to rent, and their rent continued to go up year after year. And after a few years, they found that they couldn't afford a home anymore. So we were able to help them find a smaller home in a more rural area, and they both retired. So commute wasn't an issue, and they preferred the rural area, but not everybody has those options. And a lot of people do get trapped. One of the things that I wrote about was the working homeless. There are many people that just cannot afford their rent, even if they're working, 1, 2, 3 jobs sometimes, but just the pay is just not enough to keep up with the median home values, skyrocketing prices at this point. And pretty soon there's many people that are worried, that the people that work in the cafeterias, that work minimum wage jobs, they're even seeing it now with first responders, firefighters, police, officers, teachers, just many different professional people that you wouldn't think would, be having trouble finding and affording a home are having trouble finding and affording homes. So it's really important that people get involved with their HOAs. They need to get involved with their cities. And if there are ballots or measures that come up for zoning, many of these people would be classified as NIMBYs, not in my backyard. And I can relate to that. I definitely would not like to have a large apartment complex go up right next door to me, just because I live in a rural area. And that would increase traffic, that would increase the amount of people, it would totally change where I live in a rural community. But that's part of the problem. I'm actually part of the problem just by thinking that. So people need to get more involved, and they need to understand what the issue is. Just because you've got a house or you've got your housing figured out, having some empathy and thinking about the people that are struggling, that aren't able to find a house. A lot of these people that are becoming working homeless, it's really sad. And getting involved with your local government, educating yourself on what affordable housing might be. It might be, they rezone single family housing areas and commercial areas to where, maybe somebody can have an apartment above their shop where it's their business, or maybe building condos or duplexes in an area that was normally just zoned for a single family house. So those are the types of things that really interest me and make me feel like I could maybe have a voice with my community. Getting involved with our HOA, we've already kind of started working with that. And then this is actually made me want to possibly get involved with our local government. My brother-in-law actually just became a city council member for Medford. And so I've kind of got a good resource that I can look at with that. And then basically the persuasive writing that we've learned in this class, I feel like that is going to be a huge help with whatever it is that I decide that I'm going to try and do with this. So hopefully you all enjoy this. Hopefully you all enjoyed the class. And I would encourage you all to get involved in your community. Thanks.